Welcome back. This is day 5, week 4, day 26 in a row. Hopefully, you've been moving through this. You've got a really solid habit. Been hitting, good 15, 30 minutes a day at least on your business, and should be well on your way to having some great ideas and moving forward. In this last day of a video, we're going to go ahead and look at Mailchimp. You may have seen some commercials back, around, particularly around like Super Bowl time and things like that. Interesting name. You may have wondered what it's good for. Well, it's very useful for mailing lists and sending emails out. In particular, when you don't want to be spammed or labeled as spam, and therefore, you end up in everybody's spam folder and just generally ignored. The nice thing about it is it does have a free version. You don't have to get too big before the free runs out. They have a limit of up to 2,000 subscribers and 12,000 emails a month. So you could send out, an email a week essentially to 2,000 subscribers, or that's assuming that you send it to all of them at each point. So the forever free plan is pretty good to do some basics. One of the things that you can get. Also, they've switched in the last, 6 months to a year, basically around 2017. They flipped over so the automation was actually part of free, which is awesome because that allows you to do things like, for example, these emails, where you have somebody sign up for something or send them something, and then, some number of days later, you send another email. This is a great way to do follow-ups and reminders and things like that, and just general touch base kind of things as well. You can build out entire campaigns. So like a lot of people do with selling an item, where once an email goes out that says, "Hey, your item's on your way," then maybe 7 days later one goes out that says, "Hey, could you put a review out on that product?" We assume that everything's gone well. If it hasn't, give us a call. If it has, please put a review out so you can help our other customers. Things like, and it's really endless what you can do with your with the automation side of it, and very powerful. And of course, this is all in the free. They also have some built-in sign-up forms, so you can take some code, copy and paste it into your site, and next thing you know, you've got a sign-up form there. And they do some basic statistics as well. If you look at it, it doesn't jump, $10 a month, then you get some additional stuff, some unlimited sending. They give you some more tools to, send your emails during the right time for, people, and tracking some information comes back for it. But even from the free, we'll go ahead and if we sign up real quick, let's do, do it here. That already exists, so let me change that. I don't think it's my evil twin as it says here. Maybe it's your evil twin. Spooky. It's actually going to be, let's just do this. Let's do the whole thing. And what you'll see is they're going to send you, as normal, as you should expect by now, you're going to get an email that goes out to verify it. Once you do that, then you can log in. And get past this, and I'm just going to go ahead and log in. Actually, I'm already logged in over here. So once you come in, log in, you're going to see something like this. You're going to see a little menu. You've got some basic profile information that you're going to want to enter. It's going to walk you through that. And that's very key for being not spam. You need to be a valid company. You need to have, there's a lot of information that needs to be part of the email. And some things on like how you title it, some of the content. And you see this in some of them that you get, and you see this in some of these you're seeing, the emails you get on a daily basis, is that you're going to get some information at the bottom that says, this was sent by such and such a company at, this city, this state. you've entered this as part of this mailing list. If you'd like to be removed, click this link. Things like that. They build all of those pieces in for you. Now let's look at these real quick. First thing is you got a list, and I built a real little list here for my newsletter. I just threw some subscribers on it, just some random stuff here. But what you can see is it's going to give you a list. It's going to show you a rating, which is basically how well they respond or not. They tell you a source. You can either import them or you can pull it in through a form. And you can add a subscriber. When you do it, it's actually going to ask you whether you can put an email, first name, last name, which is preferred because it's going to be able to customize the email a little bit for that. So let's say hello Rob as opposed to hello. And in here you can do updates. So you could just say, hey, if I've already got them, I'm going to update and put their first and last name. And it's checking whether they're on the list based on the email address. So if you have somebody that gives you a new email address, you'll have to essentially clean out the old one if you don't want to send emails to it. And then you can either just check here and say that I've already given you permission to email them, or Mailchimp will actually run through an opt-in where it's going to send them an email and say, hey, you've been added to this mailing list. Are you okay with it? If so, click here and it'll add them in. You can see some stats. I haven't sent anything. You can just see as you've increased audience, which I just threw a few people in, so it doesn't really show any growth right now. But you can see whether there's people in your list, if they've unsubscribed, anybody that you've cleaned out, people that are your total list. You can do some basic contact management. You can do things like you can group them, so you can. And the nice thing about Mailchimp is it walks you through each of these. So it talks to you about, what do I do with how do I group stuff? What does that do for me? Like, for example, maybe I've got different sign-up forms. Maybe I've got a group that is like we do at Developreneur. Maybe we've got a group that would be our mentor class. We have a different group that would be our daily class, our daily sign-ups like you are here. And before we had actually two groups. We had a phase 1 and a phase 2 of this course. So you did the first 2 weeks and then you could sign up for the next 2 weeks. And also do some other stuff like you may want to put people in groups based on like geographic differences, language differences, some things like that. And again, maybe you may want to do prospects versus existing customers. There's a lot of different ways that you can slice and dice the people you have there. Let's look at our sign-up forms real quick. I want to look at that just to show, for example, like if I wanted to do an embedded form that I was going to throw, here to embed in my site or blog, then I can go in here and it's going to allow me to do sort of a quick, wizard kind of approach. So right here, this is what it's going to look like. Subscribe to our mailing list. Well, I could change this to, let's say I want to say, please join. Well, and it's going to look there. I can do all fields or just required fields, and required fields you're going to do in the form builder, which let's jump over to that real quick. And so if I look at here in my sign up form, I can let subscribers pick email format. Typically, you probably want to just leave that, but they could check it. It doesn't hurt to do that, because then if they've got an old school mail client that doesn't read HTML, then they're going to get the text version. So here I could go in and let's say I wanted to give I'm going to ask for a website. Oh, there we go. So I've added website, and I'm going to call it website. I'm going to leave it not required, visible help text. Let's just say, please, your personal website. And you can get if you want to know what a merge tag value is, this is the default value that we use for personalization when a recipient doesn't have a value for the merge field. And so this is just basically, these are the kinds of things that give you some nice little help text and things like that. Keeping it simple. Tags, this is basically in case you want to do something more with it. Right now, you're going to basically process it yourself. You don't have to worry about that too much. And you can do some stuff like, you can add some radio buttons. And let's say I wanted to do the newsletter versus daily blast versus, let's say, special events. So I could do this and say, well, you're going to sign up for one of these three. I could save that, and that's what it's going to look like to them. So I could come in here and I could actually do some, I could change some stuff around. So I could say, hey, let's change the background color to, I don't know, black. So see that in the background. There's not a whole lot you can do, but you can do a little bit here. You can see here that you can do the page. If I do the body, I'm going to change that background to, let's do something a little darker. And then I'm going to come in my default text. I'm going to make that white instead. Oops, that's not the button. Yeah, and let's change my spacing. So I'm going to shrink it up a little bit. Links down, I don't have to worry about that. Let's see this. Oh, here's in the form. I want to change that. Oh, that's my buttons. So if I want to do the field labels, let's change those to something a little brighter. Nope, I don't want to go brighter because that's not going to look good. Let's go darker. So I can go to that. I can go up to my page header. I could shrink this a little bit. Yeah, stuff like that. I don't have to get too fancy, but you can definitely change some stuff around here and customize it however you would like to. Monkey Rewards is a little ways that you can get some like extra, badges and things like that, some extra notice. You get some. They changed it a little bit, so basically it's a referral rewards program. If you're interested, go ahead and look into it. It's not I don't use it personally. But it's definitely not it's one of those things. It's not a bad deal to, just get the name out. And especially, if you want to push some of the tools you're using, then, they're going to put it right up there for you. So moving ahead, once you're done with your sign up form, they do allow you to do some translation. So they've got some stuff built in pretty quick. So if I wanted to say, hey, I want to change the language up. Well, here you go. It's going to change up. You can see it does that really, real quick. If I wanted to say, oh, hey, I also want to support Greek. There you go. So it's going to show it in Greek. So you can translate if you want to go to some different, you can do auto translate, which will basically hit whatever the language is the user's using, which is not a bad way to do it. And then, so I've got my form done. Let me go back over to this. Go to here. Go to sign up forms, embedded forms, and you can see they've got a couple different ways to set them up. So you can see here they've got the primary ways that they do it, and of course you can see here on each of these, if you want to use it, all you got to do is copy and paste this. So once you've copied it, then you could come over and you could put it into somewhere on your site. And actually, you can see that on the Developerpreneur site, because if you come in, you paste it. If you go into plugins, if you go to widgets, you can actually use a plugin to get to the Mailchimp widget like that, or you can do something here. Is that one happen to be the form? Oh no, because I was using it here. So let me back up and let me add. I'm just going to do a straight text. And it's going to be this. This is going to be test. I'm going to put it in the footer widget area right. And so now if I change this save. So if I go to my site, I'm going to see down here. Oh, because I pasted HTML. You want to make sure that you do this here. Instead, put that in the text side. Okay, I get that. And now I'm going to save the widget. And then I'm going to go do this. And you're going to see your form. So, and you can see where I'd customized it. It doesn't have all of the pieces in yet because it hasn't pulled it all across. But you can. You can customize it. And this happens to be one, as you can see here, powered by Mailchimp. So that one's one that I've cleaned up a little bit as opposed to the ugly one that I have here. Let me get rid of this. And once I save it, then let's just make sure that I did get rid of it so I didn't mess up our site. There you go. So now we're back at. So that's Mailchimp. It's pretty straightforward there. Once you actually, and so you'll get, you can set this up. You set up your form. I do want to mention that you go in here. They can sign up. They add them to your list. Well, what you want to do is you have what you call campaigns. And that is basically, I'm going to mail out to something. And they allow you, they provide you some templates. So here I can do, like here, it jumps right in. Welcome subscribers to your list. You can go in there. You can clear up the text, or I'm sorry, you can change the text however you want to. Notice here, this is this bottom area there is there for a reason. That's part of that anti-spam stuff that I talked about. They're going to, that's where they're going to put all the text to let people know, how to subscribe to the list, whether they want a weekly roll up or, get them as they go through, some things like that. You can come in here. You can pretty easily add a logo. I can replace it. So let's just, I actually have one there. So let's just do that and then insert it. And so now it's got my logo there. I can welcome them in. And I can go here. I can clean it up a little bit, so I can go see edge to edge. I can strain it for high resolution. Yeah, you can pretty much play around with these things. I could actually left it instead of center it. And of course, and this is each section here is has got its own little stuff that you can do because it depends on what it is. Now, if I wanted to add a section, I can come back here. I can do save and close here, and then I can see my section. So if I wanted to add like a code section, I could do that here. And then I can use your own, and it's basically, use your own custom HTML, and you can come in and do pretty much whatever you want in that case. I could also, and of course, if I don't like it, I can trash it, and it pulls that section back out. And what I can do is that's going to go, this actually goes out now to anybody one day after subscribers join my list. But what I want to do is, well, I'm going to leave that there right now. Let's say instead, what I'm going to do is just turn this sucker off. Oh, I'm sorry, because this is, yes, this is automation. I don't have anything that's actually, well, I guess I do have anything that's kicking off. So I could add the schedule. I could set it to go never. I can send certain times. I can shut stuff off. So I've saved that one and activated it. But what I want to do now is I want to actually delete it. And which is, should be, oh, there we go, delete it. So I don't want to turn that one on yet. I do want to note another thing, which is templates. So I've got one here that I've sort of created. You can go in and create from scratch, or they provide you a whole bunch of different layouts you can work from, themes. So you can see some of these are pretty from the start, and then you would go in and fill in your own images and things like that. And it's so it's like, I say, I look at the spooky night thing. Oh, they've got a pretty cool thing here. I may want to change some text. I may want to go in and clean up a couple of these images, change it to something a little differently. We want to go in and play around with like the body color. Maybe I want the background to be, let's say I like a purple instead. You can do the same kind of thing. Actually, get out of this whole thing. The one thing I do have a little bit of complaints about, as you may have noticed, is that their navigation is sometimes a little bit of a pain. I do want to note with templates, you can code your own completely in HTML. You can build it as you go. You can build a template somewhere else, put it in HTML, and then pull it up. Or you could, if it's a big file, you can pull up a zip file as well. Once you have your template built, once you have your campaign set up, kick it off, and it's going to show you on any given campaign it's going to show you activity on it. So, and actually just in general, I can see here that I've got some new subscribers that came in at various times. And just real quickly, so like if I want to create an ad, I'm going to do a campaign name. I've got to accept their terms of use. I can do like this one is if I'm going to connect it to Facebook. What's the audience? What's the budget? So it'll actually run you all the way through, like, for example, a Facebook ad. You may also want to do one that's, like I said, the automation. So when you do that, we didn't get too much into it, but you did have the ability to do actions. So you could say, like, I want this thing to send one day after, for example, person signs up, person's added to the list. Or maybe as soon as they're signed up to the list, they get an email and then they get one a day later. That's essentially what we do with this one, actually, is that when you signed up, you got an immediate email. That was part of automation. And then forget how it's actually set up, but it's 12 hours later or a day later, the next day, however it works out, then you're going to get your next email, and that works its way through, so we don't have to go in and figure out who's there and remember to send emails and all that kind of stuff. This week we've covered a lot of tools, which we've really just done like a dip your toe in version of it. There's definitely a lot you can learn from each of them. I highly recommend that. You'll see that in this the next 2 days as we wrap up our 4-week extravaganza here. You're going to get some emails and they're going to say, hey, check out these tools, go play around with them, use them. Start, making use of the things that are out there. The more you use them, like everything else, practice makes perfect. So the more you use them, the more you're going to understand. You're going to see stuff like, I don't know, you may see like a tip down here and, hey, I've got a link to best practices. So you're going to go out here and look at what are their best practices. Mailchimp in particular, it's worth it for that kind of information. Actually, so are, like if you use a Buffer or Hootsuite that we mentioned earlier this week, these are people that do these things professionally. I mean, this is their business is built off of it. So they have some really good information that can help you be better at, social marketing, at mail lists, at automating mails, at sending mails, at contacting people and keeping in contact with people. So, take advantage of it. It's free advice. Take advantage of it. That will wrap us up for the video portion of this. You will get one more sort of a trailing video, but as far as the learning side of it, this wraps it up. I hope you continue this. I hope you've enjoyed it and continue moving forward on your business. Feel free to email us at any time, info@developerpreneur.com. We're always interested in seeing what's going on and with the sites and the people who've built it and where people have gone after going through this class. Of course, we have the mentoring. You can check out the site, developerpreneur.com. We've got signups for that. We also have on our Facebook page, we pretty regularly post when the next one's coming with some contact information, so you can jump in. It's free to join initially. We will probably ask you a few questions and things like that and try to draw you in. But you can always say, hey, I'm just here. I'd rather just ghost my way through this, and that'll be fine as well. We try to have a good time, so if nothing else, it's not a bad way to, like you would any other, any podcast or something like that. Maybe you just log in and listen in sometimes, or contact us and we can get you recordings of them so you could listen to them whatever time works for you. That being said, I will let you get back to your day. So you have yourself a great day, great week. I wish you the best of luck with this, and hopefully we will talk to you again very soon.